In the 3rd century BC, two great powers of the ancient world, Rome and Carthage, were in an unprecedented conflict known as the Second Punic War. These two rival civilizations were fighting for control of the western Mediterranean. Carthage, a prosperous Phoenician city in North Africa, had managed to build a vast colonial empire that included parts of Spain, Sicily, and Sardinia. For its part, the young Roman Republic sought to expand its influence and eliminate the Carthaginian threat. The key to this conflict was in the Iberian Peninsula. Carthage had established a powerful bastion there under the command of the brilliant general Hannibal Barca. From Hispania, Hannibal planned to launch a daring attack against Rome, crossing the Alps with his legendary army made up of veterans, war elephants, and cavalry. It was the year 218 BC, Hannibal fulfilled his plan and brought the war to Italian soil. His troops crossed the Pyrenees and the Alps, not without many dangers, surprising the Romans with this unexpected maneuver. Hannibal devastated the Roman armies in the battles of Trebia, Lake Trasimeno and Cannae, spreading panic in the capital. Hannibal's most powerful weapon in the battle against Rome was not a physical war machine itself, but his innovative military strategy and tactics. Hannibal employed a combination of daring maneuvers, intelligent use of geography, and tactical adaptability to defeat Roman armies seemingly superior in numbers and resources. His ability to surprise his enemies, as he did when crossing the Alps, and his ability to exploit the weaknesses of the Roman army, gave him a significant advantage in battle. Hannibal also took advantage of the support of local peoples, such as the Gauls of northern Italy, and the Boians, who felt aggrieved by Roman expansion into their territories. Southern Italian peoples, such as the Samnites and Lucanians, also joined Hannibal's cause, resenting Rome's policies or seeking opportunities to challenge Roman rule. This allowed it to expand its influence and resources in the Italian theater of operations. Rome was on the brink of defeat. Hannibal's invasion seemed unstoppable and the survival of the Republic hung by a thread. It was then that a promising young Roman general emerged as the hope to save Rome from catastrophe. This was Publius Cornelius Scipio, also known as Scipio the African, who was a member of an influential patrician family in Rome. From a very young age, he had demonstrated exceptional military skills. Despite his youth, Scipio had already earned the respect and trust of the Roman troops with his strategic and tactical skills. Convinced that the only way to stop Hannibal was to attack the heart of the Carthaginian Empire, Scipio managed to convince the Roman Senate to take the war to the African continent. In 204 BC, Scipio landed his legions on the coast of North Africa, beginning a decisive campaign. The Battle of Zama. Hannibal, aware of the threat, hurried back from Italy to confront Scipio. In 202 BC, the two great generals met in an epic battle near the city of Zama. There, the two armies met in a battle that lasted for hours, with changes of fortune and ingenious tactics on both sides. Hannibal deployed his forces, relying on the fearsome cavalry and war elephants that caused so much damage to the Romans in the past. But Scipio had devised a brilliant strategy to counter these threats. He ordered his men to make way for the charging elephants and retreat them, and then attack the Carthaginian cavalry with his own mounted forces. The maneuver was a resounding success. After suffering heavy casualties to his cavalry, Hannibal attempted to reorganize his infantry troops to stop the Roman advance, but it was too late. Hannibal, finally defeated, had to flee the battlefield while his forces were devastated by Scipio's legions. The Battle of Zama sealed the fate of Carthage, marking a decisive turning point in the Second Punic War in favor of Rome. What happened after that battle with Scipio and Hannibal? Stay until the end of the video, and if you like the content, subscribe to our channel. After the Battle of Zama, Publius Cornelius Scipio returned to Rome as a hero. His victory over Hannibal in the Second Punic War earned him great fame and recognition throughout the Roman Republic. However, despite his military success, Scipio also faced the envy and distrust of some of his political colleagues in Rome. Despite his achievements, Scipio did not seek to increase his political power. Instead, he retired from public life and spent his last years in his country villa, dedicated to reflection and study. Throughout his retirement, he maintained an impeccable reputation and earned the respect and admiration of his contemporaries as a true patriot and noble leader. Scipio Africanus died in 183 BC, leaving a lasting legacy as one of the greatest generals in Roman history. His military brilliance and personal integrity made him a role model for future generations, and his name endured as one of the most illustrious in ancient Rome. As for Hannibal Barca, he had no choice but to accept the reality of defeat. Although he initially resisted surrender, he realized that there was no hope of regaining power for Carthage. After a series of negotiations and peace treaties, Hannibal was removed from his military and political position in Carthage. Fearful of Roman reprisals and of losing his influence in Carthaginian politics, Hannibal opted for exile. He went first to Tyre and then to the court of King Antiochus III of Syria, where he sought refuge and employment as a military advisor. He participated in several military campaigns in Asia Minor and Greece, but ultimately faced the growing threat from Rome in the region. With the fall of Antiochus III and Rome's growing hostility toward him, Hannibal was forced to flee again. This time, he sought asylum in the kingdom of Bithynia, where he became an advisor to King Publius I. However, his relationship with Publius deteriorated over time, and Hannibal found himself increasingly isolated and distrustful. Finally, when he learned that Roman envoys were pressuring King Publius to hand him over, Hannibal decided to take his own life to avoid falling into the hands of his enemies. He is said to have died in 183 BC, in a final demonstration of the determination and courage that had made him famous throughout the ancient world.